And this is Matthew.
All right, this is your weekly show for all things DC, Batman, James Gunn, Peacemaker, Creature Commandos. We are just weeks away from June at the time of this recording, which means once we hit June, Trailer Watch is upon us because everything's coming out. And also, you know, once we hit June, everything comes out. So we need trailers for the new stuff. June's also when you start getting into it's summertime, better start promoting the big stuff that's coming. So we should be seeing a trailer for Creature Commandos anytime starting in June, since that's coming out this year. And then something that occurred to me today, Matthew, what is one of the things you remember about the marketing for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie?
It was a lot of music way out ahead of the game, big time.
Yes, you are. But the thing I remember most was they had a teaser trailer ready to go for that thing months into shooting. Yes. James Gunn put together a proof of concept trailer in time for Comic-Con because that was the summer they announced Guardians of the Galaxy and everybody said, what the actual hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
We're creeping up on 1 year away from Superman.
And they're deep into filming at this point.
Deep into filming at this point. What
There's going to be a teaser at Comic-Con.
There's going to be a teaser for Superman at Comic-Con. It's coming. There's no way it's not. There's no way James Gunn isn't already putting something together. Plus, by the time we get to that, Peacemaker Season 2 will have been in production.
Yeah.
Now, can you think of a better way to promote the new DCU cross-platform synergy than by putting out a trailer for Creature Commandos, which has Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., and then one for Peacemaker Season 2, which also has Frank Grillo as Rick Flag Sr., and then couple it all off with, and now the moment you've all been waiting for, here's the first look at Superman.
Yes.
I'm just really excited because we're coming up on the 1 year mark, and James Gunn's DC, we're now past the 1 year mark of when he announced the first chunk of his slate.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into some other news here about that in just a sec before we get started with the episode. But it's like, man, we're so close to shit being like tangible. It makes me so excited.
No, I want to see that suit in action.
Yeah.
And even if it's just him standing there in the suit, I'd be happy with that. No, I think there's some exciting stuff happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there is. And we're going to get into some of it really, like, while we're talking about James Gunn and the DCU and everything coming up. So it looks like we might have a director attached to Supergirl because it has been confirmed that the official release date is set for June 26, 2026. So almost a year later from Superman being released. And rumors have been circulating for some time, and they've been all but confirmed by James Gunn that Craig Gillespie, who directed I, Tonya and Cruella, is going to be directing this, which I haven't seen Cruella yet, but I've heard it's pretty good. But I, Tonya ruled. So
Cruella was fine. Like there was nothing in there that's going to make me go, not him. But right. I mean, it was fine. What's her name's always good? Emma Stone.
Yeah, exactly. So if that ends up being true, because we already know that Anna Nagira is writing it, and Millie Alcock is starring as Kara, and she'll be showing up for the first time in James Gunn Superman. So it looks like the Craig Gillespie rumors are, again, they're all but confirmed by James Gunn himself. And but he did confirm the release date, so that means they've got a director attached. They're going into pre-pro.
Yeah, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10, if there's that much talk about somebody directing something, there's a reason.
Yeah, it might just be rumors from like meetings and things getting, playing a game of telephone. But at some point, Craig Gillespie has been in this conversation.
Yeah.
Something you don't care as much about this is more for me. But it's also just kind of the first confirmation we've had it's happening. Netflix announced that it has cast the missing Endless siblings for what we now know is coming as Sandman Season 2. Sandman Season 2 is happening. They have cast Esme Creed Miles from Hannah as Delirium, Adrian Lester from Primary Colors as Destiny, and Barry Sloan from Revenge will play the Prodigal. So Season 2 of Sandman is coming. We did talk about it on this show. It was one of the first things we actually did on this show because it had just come out at the time. I loved this show. You were of mixed feelings because it's not quite your bag.
Not my bag. I'm not the biggest fan of the comic, but it was like one of those like, oh no, like it's not my thing, but I can sit here and go, they did a really good job of doing the comic, and all the things people cried about this thing, I had no issues with. So Death is Black. Who cares?
Yeah,
you know,
it was
you made Lucifer a girl.
The Death episode was still the best episode of the season.
Yeah,
because it was also based off like the best comic of the run, which also reminds me I need to check out Dead Boy Detective because Death is in that and it's the same actress. So I and that's out now. So I do need to check, or it's coming out. I need to check that out. Is it out? Okay, I want to check that out and see because it is a DC thing. The trailer looked, it gave me some Wednesday vibes. So and so I'm kind of, so we'll see. But yeah, so it go ahead.
Don't forget what happens this weekend.
What does happen this weekend?
My Adventures of Superman starts.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I completely forgot. I completely forgot. How do we keep forgetting about this show, Matthew?
I didn't forget. I'm ready.
How do I keep forgetting? You know what it is? It's because it's an anime about Superman. If there are two things that you can guarantee I won't care about, it's anime and Superman. But I forgot. Yeah, guys, we're gonna talk about this show. I think we decided on every 3 episodes.
Yes.
It comes out on a Saturday. It doesn't get released on HBO Max until the next day. We do not record. We do not have the time in our schedules to add more recordings for it to do a review for like every Monday. It's just not going to happen. So what you guys can expect is we will probably do like some YouTube shorts because we'll watch it when it comes out. But like as far as recording goes, we just don't have the time. So we'll probably put up some shorts and stuff giving our first reactions, but every 3 episodes, we're going to give a breakdown of that chunk of the season, just so that way we can break it up because we want to talk about it while it's airing because we missed the boat on it last time. And we both love this show so much. It's one of the few like timely current things we really do on this show is going to be this because usually we're a little behind because of our recording schedule.
Well, I should do this off air, but I'm going to toss it on air because I'm that way. Mathematically, 3, 3, and 3 means we're only doing 9. So the 10th episode, we do it all by itself. We should do it live and talk about it.
I think look for that. We'll see how the calendars play out because I'm a little worried about when that date is actually going to fall based on my show calendar, but we will keep you apprised. But look out for a live review of the season finale for My Adventures with Superman coming up in 10 weeks. One last piece of news before we get into our main topic, which is the Eisner Awards for 2024. Some nominations have come out from DC.
Nightwing everywhere.
Nightwing everywhere, but also some nominations for Birds of Prey and Shazam. I have not read the current runs on either of those. I don't think I've ever actually picked up a Shazam comic in my life, to be honest with you. Usually he's just in other things, but Nightwing took on, I'm looking for the number here. Nightwing has been nominated for Best Single Issue for issue 105. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know which one specifically that is. Nominated Best Single Issue for issue 105, Best Continuing Series, Best Writer once again for Tom Taylor.
Deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Tom Taylor's been nominated this year for his work on both this series and because he was also a writer on Titans. Sure, whatever. Birds of Prey got its nominations with Best Continuing Series, Best Writer, and Best Coloring, where Kelly Thompson and Jordan Belair are nominated respectively. And Shazam is nominated for Best Continuing Series, Best Writer, Best Pencil Inker or Penciler Inker Team, and Best Cover Artist, with Mark Waid and Dan Mora being on that team. So Shazam seems like it's got the most. But some other Batman adjacent nominations include G. Willow Wilson for Best Writer for writing on Poison Ivy, Jason Sean Alexander for Best Penciler or Inker on Detective Comics, Jen Bartel for her work on DC Pride 2023, as well as Fire and Ice Welcome to Smallville, and for Best Cover Artist, and Hassan Otsmane Elouha, I probably butchered that name, apologies, for Best Lettering on Batman City of Madness and Poison Ivy. Also, Evan Cagle got nominated for Best Cover Artist on Detective Comics, giving DC in total 13 nominations plus another 8 that are shared.
Nice.
So 13 total nominations, 8 of them are shared amongst DC. So DC once again, like we predicted was going to happen last year, DC's crushing it with comic books in 2023 and in 2024, and we're already halfway through 2024, and it's looking like it's just going to keep. I'm telling you, man, I normally don't like to put too much out there, but I'm feeling like between all the goodness comics and the goodwill DC has in comics right now, and the looming rainbow that is everything going on with the DCU plus the Penguin, like, man, DC's about to do what Marvel's been doing with X-Men 97 and just say, hey, we're here now.
Yeah,
we're here to play.
I hope so.
I've talked ad nauseum, and so it's time for Matt to have a chance to kind of be in the driver's seat for once, but also we haven't done one of these in a while. We need to do a Q&A episode. We need to talk to our peoples, and
I like it.
Boy, howdy, did you guys turn out this time around. My goodness, I haven't seen any of these. Matt just informed me that there were a shitload. So
there's a good amount.
Yeah, Matt, I'm gonna let you run point on this. Let's dive into these, man.
All right, so we got a couple questions here, several questions from buddies and pals of both of us. So we're going to start with the one that came first, and that's from Ben Essex. You said this is the one you actually read, and now we're going to fight.
I saw the beginning of it, and I was like, oh, he's not ready for my answer to this, I feel.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to read the whole thing. We may have to break it down. All right.
Okay.
First thing.
Long. It's a long question.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the recent hype of director's cuts on panned DC movies? There was a lot of talk around the Snyder cut of Justice League, and David Ayer said his cut of Suicide Squad was incredible and made Jared Leto's Joker a great character. Personally, I hate this trend because it lets directors wash their hands of any wrongdoing and passes the blame solely onto other people. Snyder recently said he was okay. That's a separate question. So let's stick with the director's cut.
That's him going into the Rebel Moon interview on Joe Rogan or whatever. I don't want to get into that. I will tell you right now, the Zack Snyder interview thing, I don't want to get into.
I'll respond
because I think at this point enough time has passed, and that's our problem for taking so long to get around to doing this. But we were waiting until we had a bunch. I haven't seen Rebel Moon, either part 1 or 2, so I have no and I didn't see his last movie either, so I have no comment on
Let's
any
do
of that.
The director's cut thing first.
Yeah.
We'll touch.
Here's why I think I get where Ben is coming from. Here's why I push back on that. He's using two very, I think the examples he's using are very bad.
Okay.
Like I because you're talking about, so the first example, we'll start with David Ayer. You got David Ayer's Suicide Squad. This was a movie that was taken out of his hands, that was, because of the negative reactions to Batman v Superman, was thrown into an editing blender, was thrown into a reshoot blender, was taken out of David Ayer's hands whatsoever. And he was basically given a studio mandate: make this movie funnier, make this movie lighter, make this movie shorter. And he had months to recut his movie, basically. Because at this point, by the time the negative press for BVS happened, we were only months away from Suicide Squad being released. Because if you remember, that initial Suicide Squad trailer was dark. That one they showed at Comic-Con right next to Justice League.
Sure. I have no memory.
It was very dark. There were no pop songs in it. The whole thing was very ominous. It ends with your first look at Jared Leto torturing Harley Quinn, and it's really fucked up and scary. And it's like, oh, this is going to be a dark fucking movie because it's a movie about bad guys. It should be dark anyway. So that's the situation. In that situation, it's, again, David Ayer isn't washing his hands of his responsibility with this movie. He's trying to make the movie he originally made before the studio said, hey, nix this because of reasons.
And honestly, for from Twitter and his response, when people have asked him about it, he's like, "No, I don't want to do it." He
Yeah.
has no interest in doing a director's cut.
The only reason it even came up was because the Snyder cut was so successful, and all he's done is said, "Hey, my movie would have been better." He hasn't been clamoring for Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder wanted a chance to prove himself, and that takes us into the Zack Snyder part of this conversation, which was Zack Snyder didn't get to put out his movie. That's plain and simple. He didn't get the when you look at the difference between the Whedon cut and the Snyder cut, they're vastly different movies. So again, I think it's a bad example, because whether or not you like the Snyder cut is immaterial at this point. This isn't a matter of whether or not you like the Snyder cut. It's a 4-hour Zack Snyder DC movie. It's not for everybody, but he wasn't trying to wash his hands of responsibility. He was trying to say, hey, I let somebody borrow my car or fill in for me at work while I was on FMLA, and they ran it into the ground, but slapped my name on it and said, and I got blamed for it. So I think, while I do think there is a tendency sometimes for director's cuts to be like, to be a little like, oh, see, this is what I was trying to go for. The examples of Suicide Squad and Justice League are so wildly out of context that I don't think they work for an example for his question.
I think it works perfectly, and I think it works.
Bullshit.
Well, no, this is what else. So some of this is this. At this point, since BVS, Zack Snyder has talked about a director's cut of nearly every single one of his movies.
And that's a Zack Snyder issue. That's not a trending issue with directors. That's just a trending issue with Zack Snyder.
Correct.
Now, so on that premise, I'll give you, Zack, chill the fuck out.
Yes.
But at the same time, when you look at his track record of theatrical release gets mixed reviews, he demands a director's cut, it gets released, everyone goes, wow, this is a much better movie.
Does everyone?
Other than you, people other than Matthew Hasso say, wow, this is a much better movie. And so to me, this just lends itself to more of a trend of, hey, can we just let directors make their fucking movies?
I think I like director's cuts because they're always different.
I love them. Yes.
Sometimes much better.
The movie's Blade Runner, so don't even get me started on this director's cut thing.
All right, so let's all right. So like something like Kingdom of Heaven, which I love that movie. The director's cut of that movie like vastly improves a great movie and makes it outstanding. Because there's things that are in that director's cut that go like, oh, so he wasn't just a random dude you grabbed and could suddenly fight and lead people. He does have a military background, which is for some reason cut out of the theatrical cut. But then you also get something like Payback. I love Payback with Mel Gibson. The director's cut of that movie is total garbage.
I'll throw the Lord of the Rings at you. I have seen the extended cuts of the Peter Jackson OG trilogy, and they're incredible. They don't need to be that long. They don't. You don't need. There's a reason. Or even like the Harry Potter movies. And as somebody who read those books back to front multiple times, like, yeah, they cut a lot of stuff out of the books or out of the movies, and there were some things the movies did better. But again, you're taking a book the size of the phone book and cutting it into a 2-hour movie that kids are going to go see. There's sometimes where it was like, hey guys, we kind of just got to focus on Harry. And so, sometimes you need to just cut shit. Well, I mean, I think BVS is a great indicator of that. Again, not to take it back to Zack Snyder, but like, that's an example of where they didn't just cut stuff, they rearranged stuff. Like, it was like, you guys had a real editing problem with this movie. Holy crap.
We're not going to get into the editing problem of the movie, but my point is,
that's one of the things we both agree about on that movie. It's an editing disaster.
That's part of it. But no, so I like, if you're talking about Zack Snyder and his thing with somehow always wanting to do a director's cut, and then him feeling like that director's cut is far superior, because to me, I'll say this, The theatrical release of Justice League is not anything to do with Zack Snyder. That is a Joss Whedon movie.
That is again, like, not to harp on this, but Zack Snyder's kid died. Like, his kid died. And
I have my theories. I
understand, but like, the fact of the matter is, if you go just off of the information that we have that we know is true, his child died. And him and his wife were like, hey, we're going to go take care of our family because our child died.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so dad's gone. So listen, the babysitter's here, and we're going to just fuck shit. This is what happens when the babysitter throws a rager at the house while mom and dad are gone.
Yeah.
I appreciate where Ben's coming from. I feel like the question he's using the wrong examples. This is one of those cases where it's like, he's got the right argument, his evidence does not hold water.
He's saying is, I think he's right in that, yes, if a movie's released and then everybody hates it and the director goes like, no, but I have my cut and you guys will like it, that's bullshit. Yeah. I'm going to call that, and you know me, I barely curse on this. That's bullshit. So the fact that Zack Snyder,
I, on the other hand, curse like a sailor.
But no, the fact that Zack Snyder very often does, no, wait for my cut. You'll like that one. You're like, no, motherfucker, you should have cut it right. You're the director. So,
but again, I know we love to say that, but we also have to remember these studios have contracts in place, man. And at the end of the day, they're the ones writing the check. It's with any movie, it is almost never entirely one party's fault.
Oh no, I'm not. But I
think
he does have.
And Justice League studio mandates exist. They told him to keep it under 2 hours, and we saw how that worked.
So
yeah, exactly. We see it didn't.
Neither one of them did. But
go listen to our episode talking about it, guys.
Yeah, if you want more about this,
if you really want to hear us like fight about this, like truly fight about this, go back and listen to our breakdowns
of BVS and no. All right, so the last part.
Yeah.
Last part, I'm going to just real quick. Snyder recently said he was surprised by the backlash against the whole Martha bit in Batman versus Superman, which frankly calls his entire ability as a creative into question.
I don't like the phrasing of that. A writer defending a line in his movie does not call his credibility into question. That just means he's standing by his work. I honestly, I'd have more respect for him. I have more respect for him if he's like, and again, I'm someone who is on the record of saying, I don't know why everybody hates that moment so much. I really, truly do not. No, screw you and screw your look. I'm being genuine here for a moment. I genuinely do not understand the hate for that. We talked about it on the show. I don't understand the hate for that moment, but I think accusing a director of standing by his work of having shoddy credibility is a little far. I've made some movies that I'm not particularly proud of, but I stand by my choices at the time. I don't know. There's a lot.
Without getting into another 10-minute argument about this guy,
I get where Ben's coming from. I feel like there's a lot of conjecture in that.
Well, look, most directors, the movie comes out.
Yeah,
it does good or bad. They relish in it for a year, and then they go on to their next thing. The fact that 10 years later, this guy's still talking about this horrible movie, it's like, dude, just be done. Like you've done everything beyond what people usually get the opportunity to do. It's over. Stop talking about it.
Here's the last thing I want to say about this. I think he'll stop talking about it when everyone else stops bringing it up. Is the thing, because it's not just him. Everyone brings it. It's part of the reason why Ben Affleck quit as Batman. Is he was like, I'm trying to promote my 20s gangster movie, and nobody will stop asking me about Batman. He was like, I haven't even written the damn thing yet. I just signed a contract.
Yeah.
And he was in the middle of a divorce, and then that's why everything fell apart. So it's one of those. It's like, hey guys, if you want Zack Snyder to stop talking about his director's cuts and the Snyder cut and all that, stop fucking bringing it up.
Yeah. because he's never going to admit it's a stupid idea.
No, and I take it back to the people that bitched about why is everybody talking about Taylor Swift in the NFL on Facebook? Well, you are too. So there you go.
Next question.
Next question while I drink some water. Sorry, Ben. I'm sorry, Ben. That is a subject for me.
I got you, Ben. Don't worry.
Ben, you and Matt can be grumpy together.
All right. Childhood friend Jeff Jones.
Okay.
One of my buddies. He says a non-comic book reading friend of mine came to me and asked for a Batman comic recommendations. He's read The Killing Joke already, and I suggested The Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
But I'd love to hear y'all's favorite Batman story arcs. More modern than my decades-old suggestions would be welcome.
Oh, I was going to say year one.
Yeah.
I was going to say year one. I mean, I still think you should do year one.
Batman year one should always be that list.
Well, he also already said Killing Joke and Dark Knight Returns. I'm like, those are the three.
See, honestly, if somebody's never read comics, I don't think Dark Knight Returns is something you should get to him now.
Oh, see, I think you give him the full range of the spectrum. I'm like, here's year one, here's Dark Knight Returns.
See, and I think that story, one, has been redone so many times in cartoons and animation and live action, and two, I think it's so outdated. I'm not saying not suggest it, but I would say Batman year one. I would say maybe Batman year three, which we'll talk about eventually. Batman Court of Owls, even though it's a little newer, it is a very interesting story.
He did ask for newer stuff. And so I do think Court of Owls, if you're looking for like some truly like newer stuff, Court of Owls is, I know everybody's got mixed feelings about New 52. Man, Court of Owls was good.
The other one I would suggest,
Scott Snyder, really.
Yeah, the other one I would suggest is, even though it's not a Batman comic, Justice League Tower of Babel. Like that really gives you an insight into who Batman really is.
Tower of Babel's good.
And I think that's another one.
If you want to see how Batman plays with others, I would recommend either. I mean, I know I plug it all the time, but Grant Morrison's JLA New World Order. It's a great JLA book, and again, you get some great indicators into how Batman works, like with him being able to hide his heartbeat and stuff, and figuring out the Martian thing. I also think another good one would be, I just had it. Come back to me.
Yeah.
I just had it.
The other one I would suggest, it's an older book, but I think, especially if you like The Batman, the movie that just came out, was Batman: The Last Arkham.
Last Arkham,
it's really good. You really see like the lengths he's willing to go to do what he needs to do.
I'll give you two others. One, and the one I couldn't think of before, is I would read anything from the Injustice series if you want to see how Batman plays with others. The Injustice series are really good, particularly if you want to see how Batman interacts with the magic using community. Year 3 is very good. But then I would also throw out there, since you mentioned The Last Arkham, I would throw out one that was in the box set for the Batman, which was what is the name of it? Ego, Batman Ego, because it's a lot of short stories. So if you want to get like a whole bunch of Batman stuff at once, that's a good one to go to. Because it's mostly short stories. It's shorter stories within the book. It's kind of an anthology.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, there's really kind of no wrong way to go. Some of them you might just, if you're new, you might just not be ready for, but they're good. Depends on your sensibilities, but I think you got a lot of options.
The other one too, this one, I like it a lot, but it is very dated because so many things have been retconned and rebooted and blah, blah, aggity schmaggity. But Batman Prodigal Son is really good.
Yeah, Prodigal Son's pretty good.
If you really want to get into why Nightwing and Batman are friends now, and why when you see some of these older cartoons or comics, they hate each other, that series really brings that.
Yeah.
Solves that problem, makes it better, and why Nightwing is who he is now.
Yeah, it's really not, and also, so if you're looking to get into comics, and a lot of these also do have animated adaptations.
Yeah,
I can't recommend all of them. I mean, like we've talked about year one anyway. I think you've got quite a few, especially if there's a lot of different options where you can see. Just go to any of those. I mean, anything we just listed off is a good jumping off point.
And message us if you need us to actually type that list out.
Please. Yeah, please do.
And anybody who's listening, if you have other suggestions that we've missed, go to this thing and comment.
Comments, please leave in comments. Yeah, let them know, because especially now it's 2024. Sometimes it's a little intimidating to walk into your comic book shop for the first time.
Oh yeah,
because you never just want to ask a room full of comic book nerds, where should I start? Because you're not prepared for what the fire hose that's about to get unleashed on you. All right, what's next?
All right. Good friend of mine, DeMarcus Young. We've worked on so many different things between film and comics and all kinds of nonsense. He asked, the post-Image Comics years in comics were an exciting time for creator-owned comics. There are so many new books and characters, there were so many new books and characters released, but many fell into obscurity by the turn of the millennium. What books, characters from this boom bust period did you follow?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. Do you have anything on tap? Because I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
I got like a billion if you want me to.
Go ahead. I'm gonna have to think about. So what are the criteria here? What are we talking?
He's basically, once Image hits big and then that creator boom of comics comes out.
Just like independent,
your Image comics, your Dark Horse comics. And he said that a lot of them just kind of disappear by the time 2000.
Would Valiant and Variant fall under this?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
And then he's just kind of saying, what books, characters from this boom bust period did you follow? Like, I got a couple. Like, number one was Wildcats, but it's actually gotten a really cool reboot last year. So if you haven't picked it up, definitely check it out. He's kind of disappeared that I'm aware of. He's never come back. Mm-hmm. I really think there's a version of Shadowhawk that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I'd be into that. I like Shadowhawk.
But then there was a character, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but originally Hellboy came out under the Legend imprint of Dark Horse.
Yes, he was started on Dark Horse. That's exactly what I was looking up, because I was trying to remember where Hellboy fell into this specifically.
And then what I think, I may be wrong, originally the Torch of Liberty was the guy who helped train him. And then I think when Legend falls apart and John Byrne leaves, Torch of Liberty was his character. So I think he got pulled out of the Hellboy thing and he got replaced with Lobster Johnson. I may be wrong. My point is, there was a Torch of Liberty one shot. I would love for that guy to come back, because he was.
Are you talking about Seed of Destruction?
Seed of Destruction. He was in. You just see him a little bit, because he's just.
He had his own one-off, you're saying?
Yes, he was referenced as the guy who taught Hellboy how to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
And then
I found it. Mignola said that the only reason he had that was because he hadn't come up with Lobster Johnson yet. And he's like, once he came up with Lobster Johnson, he was like, I'm retconning my own shit. I like this better.
Yeah. And Torch of Liberty, I would love for that character to come back.
Yeah.
And then
I only remember him from showing up in Seed of Destruction. And that was, I read that. I haven't touched a Hellboy comic.
They're really good.
Hellboy's such good comic. Good reading, man.
I think that may have been.
Is Hellboy still running? Do they still make Hellboy comics?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still running.
Really? It's still going.
Because it's just like a bunch of miniseries over and over and over again.
Yeah, I know. I thought maybe they had stopped. Oh, I may have to jump back into Hellboy.
Oh,
I get back into Hellboy.
But I'm trying to think what else. That was probably I was not well. You know what? I take it. See, the problem with Valiant is it keeps coming and going over and over again.
Valiant. So here's the thing. The reason I brought up Valiant is this. So when I first got to Ohio, I was checking out different ways of collecting comics at first. I didn't have as much going on. I wasn't doing comedies as much because I was working nights and everything. So I signed up for this thing for briefly. It was called Comic Book Bento. And it was one of those like monthly subscription services where you just get a whole bunch of shit for like $40 a month, and it's just, you never know what you get month to month. And so I got to try out a lot of different independent, like, 2010s combo. And there was one month where my box was all Valiant comics, and they are in a box somewhere. I don't know. I read some Bloodshot. I read oh God, what's the ninja?
Ninjak.
Thank you, Ninjak. And Ninjak ruled. I'm surprised that Bloodshot was the first one to get a movie, honestly, with Vin Diesel. That was not good. And oh wow. And then I read the other one that came in that box was, who was the the whole thing was that she was a heavy set girl, but like
Faith.
could fly. Faith, thank you. Read that one. Liked that one a lot, actually. Very well written. So I read those. I liked them. Didn't keep up with them because they were good, but they just, it was like, it's quintessentially the definition of like when you're a comic book fan and you just want some light reading.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Valiant comics are. Like if you want stuff that's honestly, for the most part, I think there's not really anything that's bad for kids. I think you may need to go title by title. Like I wouldn't let kids read Bloodshot, but
yeah,
I'd let them read Faith.
Well, and I think too, like I said, the difference in my opinion with Valiant is it keeps coming and going. Like it doesn't disappear.
No.
Like Plasma and all that never came back. That poor Malibu Comics universe, the Ultraverse.
Yeah.
That got munched. But I mean, all those characters were such derivatives of everything else.
Yeah. Well, you had where, and also it went by now it's DMG Entertainment, it's now, and because they've been trying to get on the comic book cinematic universe train because Valiant has so many characters. Like if they had the money or the corporate backing, they could do it. They've got the IP. I don't think they have the audience.
Well, I think what happens is this. It's the same thing with Lord of the Rings. You would think Lord of the Rings success would bring dozens of new fantasy IP into light, but because it's so good, you're afraid it's not going to be the same. So like doing like an Exo Manowar cartoon could be amazing, but are you going to be as good as Invincible? Are you going to be good as X-Men 90? It's like now, are you just going to get lost in the shuffle and doesn't become successful? So that's where I think I
don't know. They're making a season 2 of the Rings of Power, and that show sucked.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, they're making a season 2 of Velma too. Hey, Warner Brothers, you guys are struggling for money, and you're canceling Batgirl and the Wile E. Coyote lawyer movie, but Velma gets a season 2. What does Mindy Kaling have on you guys? What kind of blackmail does she have on you guys? Because Jesus, I also just feel like with Valiant Comics too, it's not it's diet. It's diet Marvel and DC, and so I feel like if you're going to do Valiant stuff, you better do it animated. But I also think that because of the success of Invincible, I think it's only a matter of time. I really do, especially since season 2 is done. And I think, we're seeing a lot of these streaming services making big moves. Hulu and Disney are hopping into the comedy special game. You can watch stand up on Disney Plus now. That rules.
Yeah.
You can, HBO. There's a lot of things you can do now, I think.
See, this is what now, whether it's going to happen, like something like Tubi that's been around for several years. They're starting to make their own content.
Roku put out the Weird Al movie last year.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah. But I think like somebody like Tubi, who you could probably get one of their IP for cheap, sink some good money into it, get some good creatives, make a Ninjak show. Yeah. Ninjak show is not going to cost you a lot of money. It's a dude who's a ninja, a special agent ninja. Like that's easy to do. You could do like a 6-episode run of that. And if it's great, then you're just like, okay, now that's what I think you could do.
Ninjak's a ninja. So do every episode 15 minutes, make them super fast-paced ninja adventures. Just as your appetizer, like just see if there's any interest. Just see if this can hold any water.
Yeah.
Just play the game. Don't here's the thing Valiant can do too. Don't make the same mistakes DC did.
Yeah.
Don't put the cart before the horse. Do what DC's doing now, not what they should have done years ago. Have a plan, test the waters. Don't blow all your budget too early and then be in hot water 10 years later.
When
Take
your
your time.
Ninjak show is busting, have the plan for the
Yeah.
next season and another show that's a Valiant character.
When I'm losing my mind for a Ninjak show the same way I am for my adventures with Superman, then we can talk. All right, Matt, what's next?
All right. So Ryan Johnson, the Nerdy Brew, has 3 questions. And I'm gonna
questions. Well, I don't know why I'm complaining. We asked for a shitload of questions.
Yeah. So I'm gonna they're kind of rapid fire.
Okay.
So who would you cast as Batman and the Gun first? For me,
No.
someone in their 40s.
We talked about this. I mean, for me, it's Jensen Ackles or Jake Gyllenhaal.
Who did I pick? I don't remember.
I do not remember. I honestly do not remember. I know at one point you picked Dolph Lundgren for something.
Yeah. Garrett Hedlund. Why not? I've talked about him.
David Torrance Sweat. Wait, no, he's Superman. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think Garrett Hedlund now is that right age. He could be that late 30s, early 40s Batman.
Oh.
And he's a good actor.
I want to see Jake Gyllenhaal be grumpy dad Batman to a piece of shit Damian Wayne. Please make Damian Wayne work, James Gunn.
Okay. Let's see. What projects would you do or want to see in the Gunverse?
I mean, I'm still waiting for. I mean, we know we haven't even heard a quarter of what he's got planned. So I know Swamp Thing is one of the first things we're getting, and I'm really happy about that. So give me Constantine is all I'm asking. Give me James Gunn. Please give me Matt Ryan as Constantine on the big screen, please. Come on. I don't ask for much, but Matt Ryan is to Constantine what Robert Downey Jr. was to Iron Man. So give me Constantine or give me the death of Damian Wayne.
Yeah. Man, Grifter's one of my favorite characters.
I know, and I don't get it.
He's in the comics. Like, somehow bring him in.
Yeah.
And you're doing the Authority.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing the Authority.
Doing the Authority. Give me
Still can't believe it.
Give me a kung fu like show with Grifter traveling from place to place, solving problems with his guns and his wit. Why not?
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the work ethic of James Gunn? He's making Superman while also working on Peacemaker season 2, while also working on Creature Commandos, while also working on Waller, while also working on the Authority, while also running everything over there. Man, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. When you plan ahead and set your goals, that's the kind of stuff you can do.
When you do your homework, kids.
Yeah.
You don't lose when you do your homework, Universal's Dark Monster Universe. Hey, Universal's Dark Monster Universe. You got outdone by the Godzilla Kong Monsterverse. How does that make you feel? They at least saw theirs all the way to the end. Anyway, keep going.
All right. So back to Nerdy Brew.
Yeah.
What DC movies that could have been or announced would you want to see? So I think he's talking about like that time where everything was being announced and nothing has ever happened.
Oh, what was I hoping for?
Yeah. So you like Batgirl, Nightwing, New Gods, Green. Like, I mean, everything was on the board.
I don't know. I kind of got everything I was hoping for from a title stand. I was hoping for some good news as far as Green Lanterns go. I was hoping for some good news as far as Batman goes, and I was hoping for some good news as far as like the dark magics. I was really hoping for Constantine. Swamp Thing is just the way you open the door for Constantine because that's what you did in the comics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm very happy with where things are at right now. We are getting a Green Lantern Space Cops show on Max. I have wanted Space Cops Green Lanterns for years. Like aside from anything Batman, anything Constantine, anything by anyone ever, I have been saying for over a decade, Green Lantern Space Cop drama. That's how you make Green Lanterns work. And we're getting it. And
there's a cartoon. It's a cartoon that's literally that. That is
that I will watch someday. That I will watch someday. I did watch Justice League Action and loved it. Cool. I am like I'm this is not hyperbole. This is not simping. This is not shilling. I am when James Gunn made that announcement last year before. Time has no meaning anymore. I was over the moon with everything that got announced to the point where I was like, yes, there were some things. Constantine, whatever. And I know there's a shitload more coming. The Green Lantern, the fact that we are getting what we know we're getting now is already huge.
Yeah.
And time and time again, James Gunn just proves we can trust him. So if this is what we know we're getting now, I cannot wait to find out what we're getting next.
Yeah. Look, they talked about a Nightwing movie before.
Yeah.
He's on my shirt. He's on the shelf. He's on that shelf. He's over here that you can't see.
It's my picture for Matt in my phone is that little statue by his window right there. Like that's the picture I have for Matt in my phone.
As it should be. But my thing is, I really need to know if Damian Wayne is the first Robin. If he's not, Nightwing is on the table.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that's a thing because I think Nightwing is the best character in the world that has never been realized in live action at all. And it's a crime.
Yeah. Because Titans doesn't count. And also, and again, we have said time and time again on this show, the fact that it's 2024 and we haven't had a live action Nightwing movie is insane.
Correct.
It's insane. And I feel like James Gunn knows better than to not give us Nightwing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, DC, we talked about this going into 2023 that DC had said they were using Nightwing as he's the focal point for DC for a while. It's been Batman, it's been Superman. We're putting our money in Nightwing right now. And they've proven that with Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing just keeps bringing home the gold. So if James Gunn has a brain cell in his body that is not currently occupied with one of 90 other projects, Nightwing is on the radar. The reason we haven't gotten it yet is because we haven't gotten Batman yet.
Yeah.
Nightwing is not let's call it phase 1 rollout.
Unless your Batman is in his 40s and his current Robin's the third or fourth one.
Unless you're putting him in the first Batman movie, which if they're doing Damian Wayne, means we're probably getting him showing up. Look, if Guy Gardner is showing up in fucking Superman, if Metamorpho is showing up in Superman, thank you, James. We're getting Nightwing in Batman.
I hope so.
I think your caution is understood, but also woefully misplaced. Let's go to the next thing.
All right. Robert Haley, good old Bobo.
Hey,
what
Bobo.
are you most excited for in season 2 of My Adventures with Superman? Everything. You?
All of it. Supergirl. Honestly, I did not think we were going to get Kara this early. I thought that was going to be a season 3 thing because he's just now becoming Superman. But again, this show threw out the rule book a long time ago. They are the swings this show has been taking. I mean, guys, go watch our we did a trailer reaction for the trailer for season 2. Please go watch it. You'll see when Kara pops up, I just about peed myself. Because I think Supergirl is a character that is really cool and really interesting and has been done kind of dirty in recent years and recent decades. And while I ultimately did not enjoy the Supergirl show on the CW, I did enjoy season 2. I thought season 2 was very good. And I thought that the only problem with the show was just the writing. I thought Melissa Benoist was very well cast as Supergirl.
Yes.
Because anytime she showed up in other shows, she was so much better. You could always tell that the CW did nothing if not cast their characters well. For the most part. So I think, yeah, man, I'm so excited to see what they're going to do with Supergirl, especially if he's finding her as a baby, but then we also see her in the Supergirl costume. So what are we doing? What are we doing? What is this show doing?
You're assuming the baby is her.
Well, they showed a blonde baby and he said, I'm not alone in the universe. And then the next thing they showed us was Supergirl fighting and he screams the word Kara. So I'm just doing the math.
I mean, just saying.
I know.
We don't know. We don't know.
Well,
if anything this show does is throw you some curveballs.
You're not wrong. I mean, look, I wouldn't be shocked if it's a blonde Mon-El. Because there's a character I forgot existed until Supergirl brought him back and in the show, because they were like, oh crap, we can't use Superman all the time. Mon-El's basically Superman. Let's throw him in there. Yeah, man, all of it.
Yeah,
all of it. I'm honestly, other than Kara, what they're gonna do with Zod, because the Zod tease at the end of season 1 was nuts, and so knowing that we're getting Brainiac and Zod this season is wild. Yeah, man.
I like it. All right, Bobo's got another one. You ready?
Of course he does. What's up?
He says, okay, not DC, but I've just got to go there. How in the world is the MCU's live action X-Men going to live up to X-Men 97?
I've been wondering the same thing. It's so good. Because did we talk about the finale? We talked about the finale already on here. Did we do that on Nerd News, or did we just talk about how good the show was?
We talked, we were, I think it was like episode.
Were we not done yet?
7 or 8-ish.
Oh, that's right. Because last week I gushed about how excited I was for the finale.
Yeah. Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Let me finish this.
Okay.
As part of the conversation, should
there was more. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
As part of the conversation, should they just start with an established team or try to tell an origin of the specific mutant and or establishment of the school? If the latter, what mutant should they focus on?
Okay. I don't know, because the ending of the Marvels, so here's the thing. It's really hard to answer this question, because of the contract thing, because of the whole 2025 everyone's under contract thing. And also because I don't know if I mentioned this in the recording or not, but I'm seeing Deadpool and Wolverine the Thursday afternoon that it comes out. So I'll have more on that in July, I guess. I mean, I personally think the only way to do it, to really be smart about it, would be do it from the origin, would be to show the because we've already done that with Kamala having a mutation show up, and that was something that no one had ever seen before.
Yeah,
we got the little X-Men sting. So I think they're gonna do a variation of an OG X-Men origin, similar to, like, when you watch X-Men 97, how there's that portrait hanging on the wall of them in their old all yellow suits when it was Angel and Beast before he had the blue hair and all that.
Iceman.
So I think we might see a variation similar to that, just modernized a little bit, where because of everything going on, because it's also a way that you can make everything that's happened so far really create a world that's chaotic. Because somebody brought up the question, when you're in the MCU, when you live, the racism towards mutants doesn't totally make sense, because it's like, well, all these other things are here. Why is this thing like you have Asgardians living in Norway? Why is this the problem?
Yeah.
But I feel like with the way like Secret Invasion ended, with the whole persona non grata on anybody who's not human, basically, I can see it to where the world, because of everything that's happened in the MCU, has now, out of fear and exhaustion, become xenophobic. And so the idea of mutants being another thing they have to, I can see where the MCU writes it in as, okay, enough's enough. No, mutants is too much. You could even make it a COVID metaphor, like, oh, this needs to be cured. You know what I mean? So, so and again, we've already seen the parallels they've been drawing with 97 on contemporary issues, whether it was the insurrection episode or, some other stuff that came up. Doctor Who's been doing that. I started watching the new season of Doctor Who. They've been touching on some of that stuff as well. So I think the MCU is actually quite primed and ready to incorporate the popping up of the X gene suddenly. Or you could take it the route of just fold them into existence, and now that's one other set of refugees that are stuck on planet Earth we have to live with now. And then, because now they're here, their genes are spreading because they're intermingling with people from this world. Now the X gene's out there, but we also know the X gene's now already there because of Kamala. A lot of different ways you can do it. It seems to me like you're setting up for a true origin story.
Sure. No. No,
I didn't mean to go full Bill Nye there, but like, feel
no.
free to add on to that. Mhm.
This is like, I think nobody cares about Angel, Beast,
No.
and Iceman. Hold up.
Okay, good, good.
So I think to get the characters people want to see, Storm, Wolverine, Gambit, Cyclops, these characters that are the mainstays of what people consider to be X-Men, you have to start the team in that fashion. But the biggest that's not true is Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was about to say I was going to say,
Yeah.
people also didn't want to see a raccoon with a machine gun.
So,
But also, I would also even go as far as to say people didn't want to see an Iron Man movie.
yeah. So I
Like,
think
when you nobody wanted to see an Avengers movie. The
Yes.
Avengers was not a top selling comic at the time.
yeah. So I think all things are possible if it's good.
Yeah.
Given the trend of what the MCU has been like, they've got 2 movies that are going to be your make or break. Like, I think if Captain America, New World Order,
Brave New
and
World.
Brave New World, that's
They
what they
changed
changed
it again. Yeah.
Brave New World and Fantastic Four don't hit, we're done. And you don't have to worry about anything.
Look, you know how I feel about the idea of a Fantastic Four movie. I don't think it can be done. I think right now I'm looking at their cast and their crew that we know of, and I'm like, okay, got a lot of good talent here. Had a lot of good talent in the other ones too.
Yeah. So I think
had a lot of good talent in Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3.
Yeah. So, but it also, like, you're doing Secret Wars, and depending on which Secret Wars you're talking about, there's a version of Secret Wars, a more modern one, where it's basically folding everything in.
Yeah.
So if you
that's what Secret Wars did. Secret Wars did for Marvel what Flashpoint did for DC.
Yeah. So I think if that's what you're going to do, and you've established at the end of Marvels that there is a world where the X-Men exist.
Yeah, there is.
Maybe they just get pulled in. Like, Deadpool's got some weird stuff. I don't think anything Deadpool, I mean, it's a comedy. I don't think anything that's going to happen in that movie is really going to have repercussions, but there's no telling.
I feel like because they're incorporating the TVA, they're using Deadpool as their way to incorporate Fox. I think once the conversation came up on the table of how do we incorporate the Fox characters that we have now into the MCU, I feel like Kevin Feige looked at the room and just like Deadpool. Yeah. Deadpool. Also, I feel like that's why Loki season 2 had to go as hard as it did, because again, Loki season 2. I think if Loki season 2 doesn't land as well as it does, Deadpool and Wolverine is very different.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think would you want the original cast of the X-Men to come back into the MCU?
I actually think given the trend that the MCU has done, kicking things off with Iron Man, putting so much behind something as abstract as Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it would be incredibly on trend for the MCU for them to go OG, origin story, original team. And because at this point, because then think about it, if you do it that way now and it works, you've got the next 10 years of the MCU right there.
See, and
because then you can end the next saga with X-Men versus the Avengers.
Well, and you could also this is now, I'm not saying do the verbatim
true Civil War.
Yeah. Well, no, I was saying is you look at something like X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
Where
so good.
Yeah. Where Wolverine, Storm, Beast were the adults.
Yeah.
You've already got a Wolverine. I mean, I'm not going to say I want Halle Berry back, but I'm not going to say no if she actually plays Storm.
I mean, you mean if they actually like give Storm something to do?
Yes.
Other than just be Halle Berry?
Yeah. And then Beast, who Kelsey Grammer's Beast, sure. Keep them around.
God, he's so good. I know Kelsey Grammer isn't everyone's favorite, but he's so good as Beast.
Yeah.
Also, so is Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah. But you bring them back, recast young teenage / 20-something X-Men characters for everybody we like.
Yeah.
Like you said, now you've got an X-Men franchise that can
Yeah.
last for 15 or 20 years because they're
Yeah.
young. Like look at
Yeah.
what's his name as Spider-Man. He can be Spider-Man for the
Holland.
next 20 years.
Yeah. The only
Build
thing
global
stopping him
stories.
is Sony. Honestly. The only thing stopping him from being the biggest thing in the MCU, I honest to God feel like the only I really do wonder if Disney was kind of hoping they'd have Spider-Man back by now. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
Kind of what I feel like, but it's because they kicked off Phase 4 with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like they were really hoping they could have more Spider-Man.
But as far as living up to X-Men 97, I'm not the hugest fan of it. But if they at least take this lesson, make Cyclops awesome.
Yeah.
He's your lead.
Yeah.
He's your lead.
Take this lesson. The X-Men isn't just about the mutant powers.
Yeah.
I know that's the cool part. It's the same thing with lightsabers and Star Wars. Part of what makes X-Men so good is the fact that it's kind of a soap opera. You know, like it's that it's always been kind of it's a melodrama with people with superpowers, and it's always been something for commentary. And while I like while I like the same stuff as everybody else from the OG X-Men franchise, the biggest problem I think it always had was it never gave me a reason to give a shit about the mutants other than the fact that I was supposed to give a shit about the mutants.
Yeah.
It was just like, these people hate mutants. Why? Because they do. Okay. Well, like it never did a strong enough job drawing the parallels between bigotry towards the mutants and the racism and neo-Nazism metaphors that the comics were based around. That's one thing X-Men 97 did exponentially well, which was using Magneto's World War II origins as the motivations behind everything he does. You know, in his speech, he talks about how, you know, when I was a boy, we were put in cages because we dared to call God by a different name. You know, when Genosha gets attacked, he has flashbacks to Nazi prison camps. So if they're going to do X-Men, and let's be honest, Kevin Feige and Disney have never shied away from doing this before. If you're going to do X-Men, you got to do all of X-Men, which means you've got, and they're used to it at this point, but you're going to get called woke. You're going to have to learn to live with it because you're doing X-Men. And much like Star Trek, people are going to be like, when did this get woke? And everyone's going to be like, when it started.
Yeah. And make it good.
But focus on the story. What has always made X-Men the best was that they had some of the best stories. Wasn't always, the characters were cool, but it was, they had really compelling storytelling. That's what made X-Men so good. So when I watch an X-Men movie, kind of like with the Batman, I want to be like engrossed in the story. Yes, give me my big, battles. Give me Cyclops blasting the desert as he falls out of an airplane to slow his fight, because that was cool. He made a crater.
Just so
give me Storm. Give me Storm walking the desert, striking it with lightning, so that she's literally walking on broken glass. Like, give me the cool shit, but also give me the melodrama. It's X-Men. I think that, but again, I think we've said it before and we've harped on this for a while now. X-Men 97 was Kevin Feige's elevator pitch for why the X-Men is in good hands at the MCU.
I mean, look, I'm all said and done. It's fine. I didn't love it. I thought it had some really good episodes. Some of it just didn't work for me.
You had a hard time with the animation too.
The lipstick, dude. I'm sorry.
I know. The animation was a little hard for me sometimes.
But it is like, okay, now you know what we can do. Let us make the movies.
Yeah. This is us just playing within the confines of this one show. Yeah. Imagine what we could do if we could just go buck wild. Like, imagine what could happen if you just let us cook.
Yeah.
Like this is us cooking in someone else's kitchen. Imagine what we can do in our own kitchen without a problematic showrunner behind the scenes. We still don't know what he did.
Next question.
Anyway.
All right. So Ray McKay, one of my comic book writer co-workers, He asks, "What are the 3 best new comic series of the 21st century?"
Oh, I mean, Tom Taylor's Nightwing.
Tom Taylor's Nightwing is up there.
Volumes 1, 2, and 3. There you go. Of the 21st century, I mean, that's over the last 25 years. That's
new stuff. See, as much as I want to say Nightwing, I mean it's Nightwing, but yes, that is a good idea.
yeah,
Wrong Earth.
Yeah, like we're not saying Nightwing just to say Nightwing. The new current run of Nightwing is incredible.
But no, Wrong Earth. If you haven't read it, that is a really good comic. It was like
do they want DC or just comics in general?
He just said comics. Best new comics. That's a new comic series. Yeah, I liked Wrong Earth. It's about 5 or 6 years old. It's basically what would happen if Ben Affleck's Batman and Adam West Batman swapped universes.
That's hysterical. Well, shit. If we're going that, the Batman '89 comics have been I've read some of them. They're very good. Really, really good writing. Like writing a Batman comic universe that takes place in the Burton Keaton it's good stuff. It's really good. I would say that. I would say on the Marvel side, I know it's kind of an easy pick, but 2 of the more recent run, the run of Hawkeye that they used for the show, and the run of Moon Knight that they used for the show. Both of those,
Jeff Lemire one,
the Jeff Lemire. That's who it is. I can never remember his name. God, those runs were incredible reading. When I saw the first trailer for Moon Knight and I saw the Mr. Knight suit pop up, I was like, oh, they're doing the thing. We are going to the hospital at some point. Someone. Oh yeah. On the Marvel side, I'd say those 2. The most recent Punisher run was very good. It's dark. I mean, even for Punisher, it's dark, but it was very good. And then honestly, the Rebirth Green Arrow Rebirth slapped hard.
Okay. I'm going like total new, like it's never existed before. Wrong Earth is one. There's a series called Oblivion Song. It was written by Robert Kirkman, of the little things like Invincible and, Walking Dead.
Yeah.
It is basically, they turn on this machine. It swaps part of a city to another dimension and pulls stuff from that other dimension into our city.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 5 years later, this guy is transporting to this other dimension to save the people that were pulled up to the other dimension.
Okay.
And the only way he can do that is he has a gun that he has to shoot him with. But you start getting into, they've been there for 7-8 years. Do they even want to come back anymore? They've made lives in this other place. And it gets really into weird ethical things, like stuff they should have done with the Snap in MCU that they didn't, of like, my husband's gone for 7 years. You just brought him back. I'm remarried with kids.
I feel like that's what Falcon and the Winter Soldier was setting up for. And I feel like it sounds like that's what we're getting with Brave New World from the early rumblings. Okay. But I also feel like we should have done this sooner.
Yeah. And then there was another one.
That's one in. This is an independent one, and this might seem like I'm simping a little bit, but Jason Inman and Ashley Victoria Robinson's Jupiter Jet comic.
That was really good. I only read the first one.
I read the first. I read the first 2 or 3. I know I read the first 2 for sure.
Well, no, the story arc. Did they do more? I thought they did more than the.
I was talking about the issues. I only got like 3 issues in. I need to. I have them, but I haven't finished it yet. Really fun, really cute. If you just want, again, if you want just some lighthearted fare that honestly I do have the whole things. Anyway, moving on.
Hey, have you one of them has the letter pages and they have pictures of people reading the book. There's a little girl reading a book.
I have that one.
That's Rain.
Is that Rain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't. I have to find the box that's in and find it. But yeah, check that one out. Not a plug. Don't know them personally. Just fans of their work. Good
it was a really good series.
All right. And what we got left?
Wait, I'm trying to think. I had another one. I can't remember.
I know. I feel like I had one too, and I'm trying to think of something I haven't already talked about. But I think
there's ones that I can suggest, but they crap themselves after a while. So I
Yeah.
don't know, but
I mean, I always say first 5 years of the Injustice comics are pretty
yeah.
pretty good writing if you look for something fun.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, Skull Kickers. That's what it was. Skull Kickers. It is
Oh,
a fantastic fantasy book about this little dwarf and this big old human who has a enchanted gun, and it's just their horribly lack of morals adventures as mercenaries. And
nice.
like everybody thinks they're heroes, but it's just because they fix the things they mess up and then they have to. So great.
Hey, that honestly could have been the plot of Shazam 2 and would have been a better movie.
All right.
It's
Last
just them
question.
fixing their own PR image. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Last question. Another one from Ray McKay.
Okay.
In your opinion, which makes a better villain for a hero? Their polar opposite or a dark reflection of the hero?
Ooh, I love both. Oh, that's a good question. I love both. Because part of the reason I love Mr. Freeze so much is it's the idea of he's Batman if he'd gone down the other direction from a massive tragedy. I love a villain that the hero doesn't want to stop but knows they have to.
That's fair.
I love a villain. I love a reluctant villain. I don't know why. I love a story with a reluctant villain where it's just somebody just fucked up and went down the wrong path.
Yeah.
And it's just and then they're just too far gone. And they're just too. That's one of the reasons why I like the fact that Darth Vader's last act as a living, breathing person is throwing the Emperor down a shaft.
Yeah.
Of especially when you look at just the story of the prequels, of just you have manipulated my entire life since day one and left me because of you. I am now a smoldering mess of a half man who's again missing his arm and is watching you lightning torture my own son whose hand I also cut off for you. Yeah, I'm over this. No, you're done. I like that's part of the compelling nature of Darth Vader is he's a guy he's the villain because life fucked him over. We hear this joke all the time nowadays of this is my this is my villain origin story. This is my villain arc. I low key kind of love that trope.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the best of both worlds. Because you look at 006 and GoldenEye, it's too easy. He's just a bullshit trader. He's just a dick. Now if 006 had been wildly I just rewatched the Apes movies.
Okay.
By the end of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, you're Team Ape. Yeah. Once again, humans are the real monsters. Yeah.
Well, something like Black Panther, where what Eric brings out, Killmonger brings out in Black Panther is the things that he is struggling with himself. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think whatever it is, it's got to put the hero through his struggle. And I think it also depends on the character. Do I want a dark version of Batman for Batman to fight? No, I don't need that. Batman's pretty dark as it is.
That's what makes Joker so compelling is because he truly is the antithesis of but that only works if you've got a character who is themselves a pole on the end of a line.
Yeah. So I think that's where am I tired of every superhero movie? It's just the evil version of the superhero. Yes.
A little bit. Yeah.
I don't need to see another speedster fight a speedster, another armor guy fight an armor guy.
That's just because the Flash ran out of fucking ideas after season 3.
Well, I'm just saying, even the movies, Iron Man fought evil Iron Man. Captain America's fighting evil Captain America. I think yes, let's get to the point where they're fighting other characters.
Yeah.
But no, I think
if you're gonna do a trope, you got to find a way to do it really well for it to not stick out being a trope. Like the first Wonder Woman movie, is it a little derivative of the first Captain America? But it's also really good, so I don't care that much.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's it, man. We burned through our questions.
Only in about an hour. It took us an hour. Yeah. But that's why we love doing these, because these are ones where we don't care about how long they are. We get to just talk with you guys and roast you for your questions, Ben, and fight about things. And we sometimes get a little lost in the sauce of just doing the business. So it's nice to be able to not have to work that hard for an episode once in a while.
Fair.
So, so these are always fun. As always, guys, you can send us in any questions you have. Hit us up on Facebook at WATB Pod, on Instagram at WATB Pod. I know those are terrible usernames, but it's what we've got. As always, you can send us anything you want to talk about. We try to answer them timely. A lot of times we'll save them for when we do an actual Q&A episode. So just send them to us. And don't make them about current Zack Snyder interviews. Because it might be a month and a half till we get to it, and at that point the moment's over. And then as always, you guys, please thank you those of us who've been joining us on YouTube. We are playing around with these and having some fun with these and just seeing where they come. Again, My Adventures of Superman reviews every 3 episodes. In the 10th episode, we're going to try to do a live review. I gotta look at my calendar. Subscribe to the channel, all the content creator stuff. You can find me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja.
That is going to do it for this week's episode of We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye-bye.